is I got to. All right, I'll throw this one out here. Um, I'll start off by saying, how many people think Dr. Phil is bullshit? Raise their hand. Oh, wow, okay. All right,
He's
good.
obscene.
I wouldn't say obscene. Yeah, I would actually.
Yeah.
No, he's done. He's basically bullshit. But I had to watch his show today because he brought up something that I thought was interesting. He asked the question, if a man gets a woman pregnant and he decides that he doesn't want to have a baby, should he be able to say, you know what, I don't want to be bothered, I don't want to be a father. If she chooses to be a single mother, that's on her, but I'm not going to be responsible. Wow, okay.
Nah, because most times other people end up carrying the weight. And I always felt like, so hold on, let me get this straight. You get to do the fun part. You get to go make the baby. But then somebody else has to have the responsibility of helping take care of the child. If you can lay down in bed and make a baby, you gotta be there.
In his case, he said he was in bed maybe 20 minutes tops.
So
So
what?
for
That's
20
not my fault.
minutes,
He's a
for
two-pronged choke.
20 minutes, you won't make him carry this for the next
Don't you know what
18
happens
years.
when you procreate? You have a baby.
Right. Look, let's not look at it through the eyes of the mom and dad. Look at it through the eyes of the baby.
You know what?
Shocking.
Okay. While I understand that, you know what? There's a lot of things in this world that ain't fair. And if you're going to start with the dad, you know, I understand where you're coming from, but you know, I would feel differently if, okay, so you're going to make the dad be responsible. Once you get beyond that, everybody else was going to have to deal with this child fairly. Then I can say, yeah, but you know, most kids don't get a fair break no way.
If you follow that logic to its natural conclusion,
I'm just asking.
then I don't feel like paying for my car anymore. I don't want to pay for shit.
Lose your car.
And you're going to lose your car
You're
though.
going to lose your car.
Yeah, but the difference between the baby and the car is that if he's not paying for his car, they take it away. If he's not paying for his baby, I'm paying for it with my tax money.
But see, there
How
goes
can you
that,
just walk
that
away from your
selfish,
responsibility?
that selfishness, that I don't want to pay for somebody else's mistake, and nobody really does. But that's why America is so messed up now, is because everybody's me. I don't want to help my neighbor. That child didn't have anything to do with that. If we would all come together more often and try to help each other and take care of each other, we wouldn't have little boys and girls that walk out on their responsibilities.
But what about the guy?
Well, this wasn't a little boy or girl. This was a grown man who said, you know what? And you know, I was, you know, I whenever I watch stuff like this, even when I don't necessarily agree, I try and leave my mind open as long as possible. Somewhere along the line, though, the door is slammed shut. But the point I'm trying to make is, he's saying, look, you know what? I talked to the woman. I told her before we got down, you know what? I'm not trying to be no father. Then she calls him within 2 weeks and says she's pregnant. And his attitude is like, well, I'm glad for you. I'm not trying to be a dad. If you decide to carry the baby, that's on you.
Oh, he should have said that before he climbed in bed.
But he said that he did say that, right?
He should have told that. I ain't did
He told us straight up before they got in bed, I'm not. And they both used contraception. They both used contraception, and she still got pregnant.
See, and you meet guys like, I've met guys like that who have told me they don't want to have children, they don't want to do that. So I leave those guys alone because I know how I am. I want to have children. If anything was to ever happen, I'm going to keep my baby. So why would I even mess with somebody who's already laid it down on the table how he is? Women, I'm sorry, women. Some women's problem is they always think they can change somebody. They can make somebody think differently afterwards. He's telling you how he is in the beginning, and for some reason you got this illusion in your head that things is gonna work out different later on. Most men tell you what you're getting into before you even get into it.
I does.
Do you have any children, Ray?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Ooh,
You
you
don't
know
throw
what they say.
Who you are.
Michelle, do you have any children? No. Ron, do you have
I
any
can
children?
say that I don't.
Yeah.
I can say that I don't, because using my math in my head, last time unprotected,
Dang, why you
they would have to be grown. They wouldn't be children no more.
So you don't have any.
I shot blanks. What could I'm not. I was just telling Bob earlier tonight. I'm too old to start fronting and being dishonest now. If I were to get up here and say I've not shot blanks in my life, I would be lying. It's been a long time. Now, somebody about 20, 22 could come up to me and say, "Yo, Dad," and I'll be like, "Who's your mom?" You know, within the last 20 years or so, I shouldn't have any.
So do you have any adults?
None that I know of.
Do you have any adults?
None that I know of. I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth as far as I know. It is what it is.
You were that guy. You were that
You were that guy.
If she was related to you, I can tell you
I'm
that. I can tell you that. Which on my Facebook every day I have a question of the day, and yesterday's question was about interracial dating. So maybe later on after a couple more performances, I'll ask you guys how you feel about interracial dating. But to get back to the whole baby thing, I just they progressed it another step. Like after a couple commercials, and they had another guy on there who had started his life. He had a wife and kids, and they had their own life. And 2 years later, after he has had sex with somebody else out of the blue, she calls for a DNA test. And when Dr. Phil asked her to be on the show, she said, "I'm not coming on the show unless you pay me $5,000 or more." So I was like, wow, okay. And the guy's lawyer basically said that she got pregnant or tried to get him, got him to pay child support under false pretenses. I don't know how I felt about that, but they also brought up the fact that if the father doesn't pay for it, taxpayers are going to have to pay for it. So I don't know. I can tell you this as somebody who pays taxes most years. No, I file every year. Sometimes I owe, sometimes I don't.
Police responses.
No, but what I was going to say is I would rather see a child with one parent, and that parent loves them and gives them a healthy home, rather than to be around a father who, every time he comes around, he's dropping off a check and like, "You little bastard." So that's just the way I feel about it.
What was Dr. Phil's conclusion?
You know what? Dr. Phil, I didn't think he was that smart. He was intelligent. He didn't say a whole lot that on today's show. Now, normally Dr. Phil reminds me of the white Steve Harvey. He's like, "Well, the reason that you're always picking guys who run out on you is because the guys you pick don't want to be around you. Maybe you should pick some guys who like I'm saying, that's why I say he's bullshit, because the shit he says just, is like, the reason why you're fat and unhealthy is because you chain smoke and you eat 5 meals a day. Well, gosh, Dr. Phil, you know, I